calls for service are from January 1st to May 31st, and the orange depicts the entire year-end totals. So currently in 2023, we've taken more now, but up until May 31st, we took 2,237 files, which puts us on pace to have an average year, probably around 6,300 calls for service. So a statistic I found interesting was criminal code rates per 1,000 people. So what's interesting is the Merritt RCMP consistently sees a high criminal code rate, file rate, per 1,000 people compared to other communities. So I've pulled some other data from some other communities below, and so you can see on the chart, Merritt is in the blue, and it starts at 2019 and it makes its way to May of this year. So we're high in Merritt, very comparable to Kamloops for our rate. We have a bit more spikes and dips, whereas Kamloops stays pretty steady. But if you compare us to other communities which we're comparable to, like Salmon Arm and Revelstoke, we are way above average here in Merritt. So it just shows how busy our officers are with criminal code caseloads here. So we'll go to the next piece. I just want to talk about, and part of that is files that we forward to Crown Counsel. So this would be part of our criminal code caseload. So we've seen a slight decrease in files that we're actually forwarding to Crown Counsel since 2020. So in 2020, we sent 264 files to Crown requesting various charges against criminals. In 2021, it's dropped to 194. 2022, it went up to 220. And we're sitting at 83 at the end of May. So it puts us on pace to be around 200 again. We actually see our highest rate usually in the fall. So this number should jump up considerably by then. But yeah, we've seen a decrease over the years, and I think a lot of that is to do with the courts and us kind of chasing alternative measures to deal with stuff because we're not seeing results in the courts that we used to see. So the next piece I'll take you to is calls for service to the Coquihalla Highway and Highway 97C. That's always a hot topic. So if you look at, we always receive about 1,000 calls a year to the Coquihalla Highway and 97C. They come consistently through the summer and winter months due to the volume on the highways. So in the first 5 months of 2023, we were at 252 calls for service, which actually seems low. But in 2022, in the same period, we were at 295 calls. So we are actually on pace probably to meet close to 1,000 files again on the highways. Now the next stat I wanted to draw you to is an interesting one. It's mischief, loss, enjoyment of property, and that's just a way we card files. But what this is, and I talked about it at the last police committee meeting, is these are complaints where businesses or property owners are calling in vagrants on their properties. It often is due to drug use. So somebody's in a vestibule at CIBC, they're passed out from using drugs, and we get called there to remove the person because they're refusing to leave, or they're using drugs on the property and we have to remove them. That's the majority of this type of call. So in the first 5 months of 2023, we're at 155 calls for service. Comparably in 2022, during the same time frame, we were at 80 calls. So we are on pace to do, I would assume, 350 calls for service, this type of calls. And, you know, I believe that's a lot to do with, we've seen an increase of people at our shelter and the decriminalization of drugs. We're just seeing a lot of users in the community. And so these type of files are going up and they are affecting our businesses in our downtown. There's no doubt about that. Do you guys have any questions on that?
Do you know if Councilor Petrosi, some of the communities in the area, are they the same with the decriminalization? Are they seeing the same, do you know? Or
I haven't looked at that. I do know when we talk to the different detachment commanders around like the Southeast District, everybody's having issues with this kind of stuff, with increased homelessness, increased drug use in their communities. Like it's, I think it's a systemic problem in the province right now.
Okay. Well, just so you know, I'll be putting in a couple of late resolutions to UBCM regarding this and one other subject, which I will be talking to you both about. So I'm just waiting for UBCM to allow me to put the late resolution in. If not, I'll raise it from the floor. We are scheduling a minister meeting with Minister Whiteside to get us some clear direction on where this is going, what the pilot project looks like for 3 years, because still we were supposed to get we had Dr. Carol Fenton here, and we were supposed to get a dashboard thing in June. It's now July almost, and we have seen nothing. So still there is no clear road where this is going. I do see that the mayor of West Vancouver has made some statements yesterday as of the same thing, that why are we waiting for things to be done? We need to move ahead with it. So that's kind of where we are as well. So it's kind of a situation where we have a new rural way of doing things, but no guidance on how it's supposed to go. So, and it leaves us all, and especially the RCMP, in the lurch, and the local businesses and everywhere else. So we will continue to work on that, and hopefully we'll get those late resolutions in, and you'll be the first to know because I'll be calling you.
Appreciate
that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Petrosi.
So on this topic, I'll bring this up now. This is for your guys' awareness. So in Merritt, we have like nuisance property designations, right? Where we will look at certain properties that cause issue in the community. If they have nuisance calls there, we work with you guys to designate them as nuisance properties. And this is just food for thought. We definitely don't need an answer today, but it's something to mull over. Is we've taken 150 calls for service at the shelter this year, since January. Which is astronomical. Like it is by far our #1 place that we go to. At least 100 of those files would be designated as nuisance files for the city. So like their fights in the parking lot, 911 calls, mental health calls, threats, disturbances, drug use, intoxication, stolen property. Like it's out of control there. And that's, it's not just for police, like fire is having these issues at the shelter, the ambulance is attending there all the time. And it's just something to put to the police committee that maybe council needs to consider designating the shelter a nuisance property, and we start billing them for the calls that police are having to attend, because it's costing the city a lot of money. And it should be billed to that property, in my opinion, but that would be something for you guys to decide. So,
would you like to make that a recommendation?
I would, yeah.
I'll second it. So recommendation is that I'm assuming this is the Merritt Desert Inn we're talking about?
Yeah.
I guess the motion would be that we look at moving this forward to council, that the Merritt Desert Inn be deemed a nuisance property. And it's moved by Sergeant Rhoda, seconded by me. Oh, sorry. I'll move it. Councilor Etchart will second it. Thank you. And that must most likely be on the next meeting. So all those in favor? Opposed? None. Carried. So we will get that done. And yeah, I think maybe before you leave, we'll have a quick conversation. Yeah. So I don't think it's for here right now. So.
No. Okay. And then I'll just talk a little bit about our performance plan for this year, so you guys are aware of what we're looking at. So every year, and I'll just explain it for the whole committee so everybody's aware, the RCMP develops an annual performance plan. We started in April, and we do the fiscal year till March 31st. So our plan for 2023-2024, we're focusing on 5 areas. They are crime reduction, prolific offender management and drugs, community engagement, reconciliation, and communication. So the goals in our plan this year, specific to the city of Merritt, and it's something that came out of our police committee meeting before, is we want to have a focus on the downtown core in Merritt. So part of that is our goal is to have every single day of the year a focused foot, bike, or vehicle patrols in the downtown. We are more than exceeding that already this year, and we've got members that are bike trained now, and so you'll see members on bike patrol in the downtown core, and that's been really well received by the community. So super excited about that, and that's a big push for us. We also are looking at continuing doing another Business Watch seminar and a Community Watch presentation like we had talked about, redoing those. We're also going to be doing a big block watch campaign this year as well. It was something that Councillor Etchart had asked for, and so we're going to look at doing that. We're trying to put a lot of focus this year too on our school visits and engagement at the schools. And we've had 125 visits to our schools since April 1st already this year. And those are like meaningful visits where the members are going to classrooms and spending time or doing different things with the kids. So we've seen a lot of benefit from that. And then used a lot of our relationships there to do alternative measures with a lot of these young people when they're offending. So that's been very helpful. We're also looking at doing a better communication piece. We used to send out weekly media releases those have fallen by the wayside. Corporal Hedrick is going to take that on and is going to be trying to put out bi-weekly media releases to the public just to share what the police are doing so that everybody's aware of what's going on in the community from us. We're big this year on dealing with repeat violent offenders. We saw last November with our string of shootings that was just a huge problem. And so we're actually there's a new program that's been developed. It's called the REVOI program, and it's the Repeat Violent Offender Initiative. Anyways, what they're doing with that program is we've got Crown Council, police, probation, and corrections all meeting every single week, and we're designating offenders in our different communities as repeat violent offenders. And so we currently have 4 designated in Merritt. And so what happens is if we target them and we catch them for an offense, they will go before the courts. Crown's already engaged. They're going to oppose release. They'll be seeking detention for all of them. Corrections is involved with that. Probation. It's just we're very hopeful that this program is going to work well, dealing with some of our repeat violent offenders. So we're well involved in that. The last piece that we're trying to deal with is a goal for us is we want to work on dismantling drug lines in the community again. We're seeing a huge problem with drugs in our community. So our plainclothes section is going to be working hard to deal with that. It's very difficult now to deal with drug dealing because when we used to be able to deal with it before decriminalization, we could stop somebody leaving a drug house, arrest them for possession if it was a short visit stop, search them, find drugs. We knew they were dealing, and we could get search warrants and kick houses. We can't do that anymore. So we're really having to rethink how we're dealing with this. So we have some things in the works. I won't share those because I don't want to share our techniques, but it's a lot more difficult now, and it's going to be costly. And so we're also looking at ways through the province that we can obtain funding before we do these projects so that the city of Merritt is not having to pay for them, because I don't think they should, because you guys didn't choose decriminalization, the province did. And so if that costs us more money to do what we need to do, the province should pay for it, in my opinion, and they do have mechanisms that we can apply for funding, so we're doing that.
So just so you know, this will be one of the late recommendations to deal with that sort of thing where you're not able to now roust people as they're leaving drug houses. So that has to. And the other thing that we'll be putting in is the PTEP situation and the funding on that as well. And I already have talked to the minister about that. Actually, I bushwhacked him with that, but at least he knows what it is now. So I think rather than taking PTEP forward as a item, I think we'll be doing it as a minister meeting at UBCM just to get something nailed down, because I think the other communities in the province should realize what that is and how it can affect them. So.
Yeah, and I just got the email a week ago to be able to apply for the PTEP funding this go round. So that's part of this.
Could you just explain what PTEP funding is for those who don't know?
Yeah, so PTEP is like the Provincial Target Enforcement Program, and basically what it is they will designate high-risk offenders provincially, like say gang members, drug dealers, these type of people, and what they do is the province will actually has funding to allow police to apply for, get it, and then use that funding to target these individuals. So we have some PTEP threats that are in Merritt or come to Merritt and are part of problems that we face in this community. And so we're trying to use some of that funding from the province to be able to target these people.
And the only issue with the PTEP funding is there's a bit of a hole that a community can fall into and miss the funding window, and then the community is on the hook to pay for it. So that's where we have moved that forward, and hopefully we can get that changed.
All right, I will turn it over to Marlene Jones.
Marlene, press your red button there. What am I doing here? There we go.
There we go.
I hit the right button, not the wrong.
Good morning, thank you. So just an update from the Community Policing Office. Since our last police committee meeting, we've been doing some work out in the community. That involves our volunteer programs. Initially, we started a push here on sort of re-engaging our CMP volunteers. That's proving to be a little bit more difficult now. There's really a demand for volunteers in the community by many organizations. So, and ours, we have a little bit of a barrier because the security clearances have really stepped up, and so there's a lot more of a process to that. So our priority moving forward here now is to use the Wednesday night markets to engage with people there, because there's lots of people. We were at one last night. It was very successful, in my opinion, for our area. My priority are Speedwatch volunteers and event volunteers, so that I can be out and talking to the community and have somebody with me when we're doing that. We still have community patrollers there. They've been with us for like 15 years, and they're out on their bikes, so they do that twice a week. They're a little bit more sort of behind the scenes at the moment, right? We don't have them wearing RCMP volunteer stuff out and things like that. They're just kind of quietly riding their bikes around, stuff, not necessarily drawing attention to themselves. They do stop and talk to people, but the things they're seeing are sort of, I'm passing along to bylaws, things like that, whether there's encampments in places or stuff like that. So we're just not going to have them out and highly visible, and so that just for their safety. We've been doing some community outreach. We've done numerous meetings with Interior Health. I was explaining the situation table to them, and Constable Trussanoff and I went and did a safety briefing with them regarding their staff going into houses and how they should maybe have a safety plan for that. That was sort of something that wasn't in place. We've done numerous fraud presentations at conferences, the Senior Center, and in partnership with Indigenous Policing. I think they've used our presentation here again last week. We've done a residential SEPTED presentation for the Senior Society, and we've stepped up our Block Watch. We've done several Block Watch trainings at the CPO, and we have another one coming up in July. SEPTED is something that we've been using to help the businesses downtown when they've been having their issues. We've done 6 since our last police committee meeting. I think they've gone over quite well. Sometimes it's kind of difficult. We're making recommendations, and there's some costs attached to that for these businesses. But one success story, I think, is Interior Savings. We were getting a lot of calls there. The manager approached me for something like that. We did the report, and she was able to use that to support that. And since I said here in April, we haven't seen any calls to that area. And sometimes we're getting multiple calls a day to there. So.
That was the fencing that went up?
Yeah, yep. It's fencing and lighting, and just sort of, staff kind of knowing being aware that that's their property and they're allowed to ask people to leave, stuff like that. Okay. Situation table is moving along quite well. We still meet once a week. We have dealt with 15, it's called discussions. So there's been 15 either individuals or families that have come and been identified at acutely elevated risk, and we've helped that, yes.
Did you finally get an IHA representative to show up to this?
We do not have an Interior Health representative. I just sent something out to the ministry that supports us on this, so Minister of Public Safety and Solicitor General. I sent something to her yesterday. I did a recap. We've been active since November of 2022, and Interior Health has been at the table twice.
Okay. I'll contact Kathy again and find out if there's something she can do on her end.
Okay. And
I wasn't aware that there still wasn't anyone there at this point.
Yeah, so there's a ministry representative that we deal with too, and I'm actually on a call with them later this afternoon. And she seems willing to go and approach it from a provincial level too. So.
Kathy's the executive director, so she can probably move it along a little quicker.
Yeah.
So I'll call her today.
Alrighty. Outreach and dealing with the youth, we were able to do the Merritt Junior Police Academy in March. That was feedback on that was positive, and so Constable Trussanoff is looking at plans for doing that again next year. Our block watches, we do have, so we have 8 groups now. Our 8th one is just coming on line here July 11th, I think it is. Sorry, I think that is. And we have a little bit of a group that we've compiled to where we report to the seniors center every month as well, kind of count them as a block watch, so that although they're not all together in their residences, we just felt it was important for them to know sort of what we're seeing and things they can do to protect themselves based on what we're seeing in the crime files. The CPO front counter is picking up again. We were down to like sometimes only sort of 20 people coming in once we've opened up from the pandemic. But now, last month, we were 55 interactions at the front counter, and which is sort of interesting because I run sort of a fine line because I'm out at a meeting or out in the community or off to somewhere else. So it's sometimes hard to catch me there, but still we try to keep it open as much as we can. We did attend a couple of conferences in the last little while. One was related to Situation Table and the other one for Crime Stoppers, which all of those things we're able to use and sort of bolster and help with interacting with the volunteers through the community policing office as well. So.
Thank you, Marlene. Any questions for Marlene at all on any of this? Yeah, very good update. Thank you very much. Yeah, like I say, I will get a hold of Kathy and try to get somebody at that situation table. I don't understand the resistance on that. I really don't. The Merritt Junior Police Academy, could you just touch a little bit more on what that was about and what happened with the kids and what they did? And just curious.
Okay, so there was an application process where students at all the high schools were able to apply to be a part of that Junior Police Academy. Original plans were that we were going to take them off to West Kelowna and there would be a larger group. The applications were lower than what we thought, and so we regrouped and took them off to the Lower Mainland. They were able to take part in a lot. There was a lot of things. They went to the hovercraft base. They stayed at PRTC. They were going to do a bunch of different police-related things. They went and spent an afternoon with Canada Border Services. Were involved with the dogs there. All that kind of stuff. I see your smile. I know you wanted to go too.
What was the age range of the kids?
These were grade 11 and 12 students.
Mostly male, mostly female?
No, it was a male-female mix. So Constable Chersonoff supervised the males and I supervised the females. And
I'm assuming these are kids that are considering law enforcement at somewhere along the way?
Yeah, or just interested in it. Okay. I think of our 6 that we went down with, 5 were, yeah, this is what I think what I thought it would be like, maybe even cooler. Another one was like, I'm not sure that's for me. Great opportunity to find out.
That's what those are for. Sergeant.
I will just say, like, Marlene downplays it when she says that you said that the amount of, you guys expected more applicants, but 6 people from Merritt is actually an incredible number, because in the Lower Mainland, we're looking at communities of like, say Maple Ridge, 130,000 people, and they might get 15 applicants. Mm-hmm. So for such a small place in Merritt, for us to get 6 is incredible. So, and that speaks to Marlene and Blake and them being in the schools. And so you guys did a great job.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Any other questions? Councilor Petrozzi?
Marlene, you said you've got 55 people dropping in. Is that like daily? You've got dropping in at the office, or
yeah. So
who are they, and what are they? Just kind of locals, or what kind of questions are they asking?
They'll be coming in and talking and asking or getting me to register their bikes. They'll be coming in and saying, "Hey, I just saw this downtown. Is that something I would report to the police?" I have them coming in because there's some sort of intervention that has to happen downtown or around my area, and they're like, "I don't know how to report this to. Can you come and help?" I sometimes go, depending on what it is, or call the detachment and have somebody come there. So it just can be a whole bunch of things, turning in found supplies to whatever.
Right, thank you.
So speaking of SEPTED, just so you know, we had our strategic planning meeting yesterday, and one of the things that we are putting on the top of our list is starting to work on the back alleys, especially the one behind Spirit Square, and more lighting, more LED lighting, cleaning up the back alleys. That's where we're going to be starting. So, I mean, that's going to be over the next little while. It's not going to happen tomorrow, but it's something that's on our radar. I think you should know that. That's where we're moving towards. We do realize that SEPTED is a valuable thing, and it does work, obviously. So we're moving in that direction as well, and it's to also just start to spruce up the downtown as well. I mean, with everything that's gone on down at the Adelphi Hotel, with the change they've made and everything they've done there to spruce it back up and turn it into a very nice livable area and get the bar back to like a beautiful spot, I think it's the best we can do is to start to help be part of that. So we'll be working on that. And SEPTED, I think, is very important. And those who don't know what it is should come and see you and find out what it's about, because I think it works. So thank you. Any other questions? Excellent. So thank you for that, Marlene, appreciate that. Information item that we have there. Everybody has the information item, and that is from a local person, lady, Lori Robinson, up at the McDonald's area there that the community is concerned about, and this has gone on for a while. So what I will furnish for Councillor Etchart and Councillor Petrozzi, which they didn't get, is I sent her requests. I went and met with her, and then and I think Constable Hedrick, you've met with her, and Josh, you kind of got cornered at Coffee with a Pizza. So my first step was to go meet with Lori, which I did, and then she sent me an email, which I sent to Rick with his responses in red, and I'll make sure you guys get a copy of that. And that's just to keep you updated on what's happening up there. Constable Rhoda is aware of the fact that, I mean, this is something that hasn't been not known to us for quite some time, what goes on up there during long weekends, like this weekend coming up. It'll be a bit of a zoo up there. People just don't seem, from out of town, just don't seem to be able to read signs, I guess. I'm not really sure what the situation up there is, but so it's, I just wanted to let Lori and the people up there know Rick has now talked to her as well, so that we're aware something's going on, and we're aware that we're going to try and get that somewhat fixed as much as we can. Again, we have to also be aware of the fact that we are a smaller community and we do rely on those dollars up there, but there has to be some sort of consideration for actually reading the signs and treating the locals with a little bit of respect rather than parking on their lawns while you go to McDonald's, which just is a little ridiculous, but it does happen. Councillor Richard?
Yeah, that was something that I know someone else had brought up recently, was the visibility coming out of these parking lots. And so reading this report from Lori was kind of was making me think about that, because we've had that complaint from a number of people. Her report is basically the same thing everyone else is saying about not being able to get out, or the lineups and the congestion and everything there. But I don't know if we can put up some kind of cones or something along the side where they're visible, or if people just run them over or anything like that. But I think it's hard to enforce with the number of people that come from out of town, but I don't know if there's a good solution for that. But anyway.
Rick has got some, in red, you'll see it there. Rick has some good solutions, and he is going to move forward on those. And I do believe, Josh, you probably will do a little bit more looky-loo during the weekends up there. Again, you know, we don't want to strong arm anyone. It's just the fact that there has to be a little bit more respect for the people up there, as simple as that. And they have to realize it's a community. And the last thing we want to see is somebody get hurt or a child get run over, scooting between the cars. I think that would be horrific. Councilor Hedrick.
I think that the main issue there that Lori brought up, and I'm certainly, now I'm in my 13th year here, and I've seen this happen over and over again, and we certainly do address the folks that are parking there when we see it, is that the majority of the folks are from out of town that are parking there. They don't actually know, because when we paint the lines don't last like they used to, because they don't have lead in the paint or what have you. But they don't actually realize that they're blocking the only traveled lane. And I don't know what the solution is to that, but they seem to think that there's another lane there and that people can safely go around them.
So just to touch base on that, one of the things that we've done through our budgeting is we have bought equipment to start painting our own lines. Using the contractors has risen by almost 100%, so we just certainly can't use them anymore. So we do have that equipment coming in, and then we will be sprucing up our lines in our parking lot areas. So City Works will be doing that as well. There'll be a trained crew that will go and keep those lines very visible. One of the other questions was talking to Moti about making the signs larger. Now, I'm not sure that's going to happen, but I can talk to Brad and see, because I mean, there's a certain reason the signs are a certain size, because you don't want to have people get confused or anything like that. So, but there is a clear sign up there that has a great big huge truck with an X through it, and if you're a professional driver, you should know what that sign means. And also their GPS goes red the minute they go past it, and they know they're in the wrong zone. So I think it's a little bit of a situation where also too there has to be some, either you're a professional truck driver or you're not. It's that simple. So. And again, don't want to see, just also to be clear, a lot of people say, well, the bylaw officer should be up there. Bylaw officer has nothing to do with this. This is not a bylaw officer situation, so he will not be dealing with that. That'll be with the city and the RCMP. And I'm sure we can get, especially now with Base Coast coming, I'm sure we can get some friendly reminders out there and just make sure that people are aware. But we will be doing our own painting. So, Councilor Petrozzi.
Yeah, as in, well, Canadian Tire, I guess, has got the only operational sanding dump right now. So the amount of trailers coming in is just incredible. So until the one across from Claybanks is up and running, we're gonna, I guess, continue having a lot more traffic through there. So just, I'm not sure when that's scheduled. The one,
It's going to be fairly close. That's what the work is going on over there, so when that's done, it'll be back open again.
Thank you.
Councilor Richard?
Mine was still up from that.
Caught you. Well, that is all we have. Is there anything else we'd like to bring forward? Anything else? I'd like to say thank you to Marlene for your report. Again, I will talk to Kathy today, try and get somebody there. Oh. Councilor Petrosi.
For Sergeant Rhoda, those 4 violent offenders, obviously they must be on probation conditions, and you're really, I guess, keeping on top of their whereabouts pretty much.
Yeah, so to be part of the program, you have to be either under charge or charges are coming, or on probation, like after a conviction or something like that. So all the people currently on the program, they are being watched. They're on different conditions, and we're keeping an eye on them. Some of them are actually currently in custody, and we're waiting for their release and how that's going to play out too. So.
Thank you very much, everyone. And with that, we are adjourned. Thank you very much.